others. We got some last minute requests. Hamilton Beach Association has requested a continuance.
So Hamilton Beach and who else?
Barrett, George and
I
Carrie
had Barrett.
And officially, I think that's it, though I think some of the solars are likely to be continued
Okay.
as well.
So
Dave, are we being strict today about this? If people don't have the site marked, are we going to be looking at it? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
well, we have in the past, if the property activity, if the activity site is not staked and we don't feel we can proceed without it being staked, we can ask for a continuance.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that we asked for a spot in the, at the end of the pier. We've asked that everything be staked out and not everybody does. So let's.
Yeah, all right.
And before
Notice-
you start, wait.
No?
We have a set of minutes for approval.
I think that Elisa, that's a point that needs to be made tonight.
Yes. Again,
Okay.
it's been made, we made it many times, even this year. We've said we need things to be staked out.
Oh, no, right now we're going to do minutes.
I know we are.
Yep.
No, well, I would just want to make sure that that point is discussed
We
tonight.
talk about it for each one of the projects that come before us, as whether or not it was staked by the engineer or the homeowner, and whether or not we want to continue the meeting if
Okay,
they haven't
good.
properly identified the location of the project.
Thank
So
you,
right
Angie.
now we have it ready.
me.
We set of minutes, March 2nd, 2022.
Okay.
I move that we accept the minutes from March 2nd, 2022.
That,
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Kwame, Elissa,
Yes.
East,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy.
5, 6,
So we're 600.
0.
Thank you. And I guess David waits for me to sign it.
Okay, and are we ready to go?
Ready to go. Hearings.
excuse me, did you say the solars are going to be continued or some of them?
We don't know.
Well, the 0 Route 25 is going to be discussed. I don't believe the Ferring Hill is going to be discussed, but I haven't got an official word from them. But the 0 Route 25 is going to be represented here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready now?
Yes, we are.
Good. Okay, we're doing a notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for David and Cynthia Pillsbury, 70 Gem Circle, Raynham, Mass. 02767, to construct stairs and to repair retaining walls located on Assessor's Map 119, Lot 1328, Shangri-La Boulevard, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to represent this project?
I'm Mayor David Pillsbury.
Hey, David, Mr. Burchett will read to the project.
Yeah, so the project site is at 28 Shangri-La Boulevard. The project involves installing a stairway within the buffer zone to Glen Charlie Pond. 4-foot by 15-foot stairway is proposed from an existing deck down to another existing stairway. This is to make access down the slope on this property easier to get to the other existing stairway. The new stairway would be supported on galvanized pipe piles that would be driven into the ground. There are also some existing concrete blocks that serve as low retaining walls that would also be proposed to be replaced as part of this project. Overall, the work is relatively minor in nature, and I would recommend the approval of this project with a negative determination number 3.
Hey, David Pillsbury, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think he covered it. Just hope you guys would approve it. That's okay.
All right, I'm going to ask the questions of the board. Kwame,
No questions. Thank you.
Elisa,
My question would be, what are ground shrubs?
There's some type of evergreen growing on the ground. It's just to keep the ground from eroding. Just
That's
low profile.
existing vegetation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's existing and just go, okay,
See them there in the picture.
yeah,
anything else?
okay. No, not yet, thanks.
Denise,
All this work is allowed to be done in the area that it's being done in, Mr. Pichette?
Yes, because it is providing access to the resource area that is allowed under the bylaw.
Okay, and the docks seem to be being stored right on the ground, right by the water. Is that acceptable?
No,
The dock storage should be stored away from a wetland or not in a wetland. So that's something that would have to be moved down the road if that's an issue. But again, that's sort of a separate matter from what we're looking at the moment.
but it's all in the same project, Dave, right? I mean, it's all the same household, the same yard, and it's kind of easy to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, no, it's the
Doesn't
same
have
site.
any co-
excuse me, it is
Pardon?
not part of what's in front of us. We can raise it as an issue.
It's
to
on the
be-
plan.
They're talking about the dock in the
All
plan.
right. All right, let's see.
I'm
Construction.
looking at the plan.
Okay.
I don't
it
see
either.
anything about
No, you're absolutely right.
a on the upland
Yeah.
on the, okay, so if you want, we can say it is a violation. Or we can ask them if there's an alternative place away from the water they can store the dock next year.
Okay,
That
There-
would be a good question.
because it
Am I
says
allowed
here
to
that they
talk?
want to build stairs between the house and the pond for access to the dock. And RE supporting the bank to the pond.
Yeah, the
That-
dock when it's in the water, not the dock when it's stored on the land.
Okay, well, it needs to be not stored where it's being stored.
Well, that's another discussion.
That's what it
David,
says.
is there another place you can put those docks
I
in
think that we
various support
let's-
beams on away, 30 feet away from the water?
I believe they are almost that now. I can move them further up the bank and onto another flat spot. It's not a big issue for me. I
Thank
Great.
you.
just put them
Thank you.
there because it was the closest place to put them.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you.
are within
Thank
30
you.
feet of the water. All
Thank
right,
you.
Right now I store them in that flat area at the top of the stairs that go down the last
Yep.
bank into the water.
very convenient to put them there. They're very close to where you're gonna launch them from. Yes,
Yeah.
understand.
I didn't realize there was a requirement on how far away from the pond they had to be.
Mr. Bichette? Is there anything in the wetland bylaws regarding the storage of the docks close to the water?
Well, yeah, I mean, typically you don't want them stored in wetlands over the off season. They should be stored 30 feet away from the wetlands.
Okay,
And Mr. Pillsbury, Sandy said that's not a problem for him to do that.
That's what he said, yes.
We
I can
can't-
do that with no problem. That
sorry.
was just an oversight on my part. I can definitely get away from that pond.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
can
Pillsbury.
request that that happen next fall.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Denise, anything else, Denise?
No, that was my question.
Carol?
No questions.
Michael?
Yeah, the only question I would have now is these blocks for the wall or the current wall, where's that currently? So I couldn't find it when I was on the lot today. Was it those, well, was it those two stones right there?
Yeah. then-
for the stairs.
That's about where the stairs are that I want to build. They appeared like they used to go up to the left from that photo. And it looked like there was some type of a retaining wall squaring that place off. And over the years, it's been neglected and it's just been washing down and covering everything up. And it just all fell apart.
Okay, so basically now dirt covers what, so basically dirt covers those basically stone blocks now.
Yeah, I think there's more in the ground there, probably. I bought the property in real tough shape, and I'm doing my best to get it to be, a nice piece of property, and this is one of the steps.
Sure, certainly. I just couldn't find where this wall that was referred to in the plans was. That's all. Thank you.
Nicole, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Is there anybody online that'd like to comment on this project?
Move to close the hearing.
I
Second,
have a motion to close the hearing in a second. All in favor? Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa, Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. Yes, the hearing is closed.
Move to
Like-
accept the project with a -3 determination and with the request that the storage of the dock be further upland from the fall.
Okay, that's the motion. I heard a second. All in favor? Kwame,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy.
Yes.
Yes. So, David, before you do anything, see Mr. Pachette for your paperwork.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right.
Folks, have a good evening.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40. The Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 6:30 PM on the request for determination of applicability for Robert Foley, 32 Galt Road, West Wareham, Mass. 02576, to remove invasive plant species and to install fencing located on Assessor's Map 90, Lot A, 32 Galt Road, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to represent this project? Please identify yourself.
Hello, Robert Foley is here, one of the homeowners to represent in this matter.
Okay, Mr. Pachette will read the project.
The project site is at 32 Galt Road, and the project involves fencing in a portion of the yard in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland that exists at the site, and also hand removal of some invasive plant species such as bittersweet. It's proposed to install a chain link fence in the area shown on the plan, at least no closer than 30 feet to the edge of the wetland. And other than that, again, there is the proposal to remove some invasive plant species from the area as well. Again, that would all be handwork. So I don't really have a problem with what's being proposed here. There's relatively minor impacts that are being proposed here, so I would recommend the approval of the work with a negative determination number 3.
Robert, is there anything you'd like to add to that explanation?
The only thing, and I took another look as we spoke the other day. I've been trying to go through the property and remove a lot of trash and litter that has accumulated, all assuming from previous owners. And it actually might be outside of there, but it is a 3 foot by 3 foot safe that has degraded back there, and all of the firewall and insulation for that has crumbled. And I'm thinking I'm going to need to bring in some machine to remove it. That would be just one thing that I would mention. I think I can keep it outside of, fully outside of the wetland buffer zone of the 100 feet. But that is just one thing. And if that is an issue in this specific matter, I can certainly submit a separate application for that work. It's just I want to clean up as much as I can of this property. I've been
Is it
finding
Inside or outside the 30-foot?
it is well outside of that 30 feet of the flagging for the vegetated wetlands.
So it's inside the perimeter of the fence you are proposing.
It would actually fall outside of the fence lines as shown on the plan, but it is something I would like to remove from the property and abate that soil to remove anything that has crumbled into it just for the sake of the property itself.
Questions on the board? Kwame,
No questions.
Lisa,
No questions, thank you.
Denise,
No question, but I wanted to thank you for having everything staked out and for taking the time to walk us through the project while we were there.
Happy to. Thank you.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Just one quick question here. On this piece of paper, or the plan paper in front of us, I see like a proposed septic tank, a proposed pump tank. Is this something different? Just out of curiosity.
So that any of the bold line work was part of a plan that was available at the town hall. I recently purchased the property beginning of May, and I spoke with David, and this was an extra copy that was there, so I'd utilized this to bring this in front of the commission to just mark it up to show what we intended to do.
All right, gotcha.
That's from a previous project for a septic upgrade that's already been done a couple years ago. That's what that is.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nicole, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Is there anybody online that'd like to comment on this project?
I move to close the hearing.
Second,
I have a motion. Close the hearing. Kwame,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Denise,
yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael,
Yep.
Sandy, the hearing's closed.
Okay, motion we go ahead to accept the project with that motion. I'm bombing this, guys. A
Negative
motion-
3.
Like, what?
Negative
I
3.
think-
Negative determination number 3. Thank you.
Good boy. Second,
I have a motion and a second. I would like to add in the removal of the safe.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
and the affected ground beneath it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and all in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes,
Denise, Carol,
Yes,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy, done. So, Robert, you got your approval, but don't do anything until you get the paperwork from Mrs. Bichette, okay?
All right, absolutely. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
Thank you,
Okay.
Robert.
Have a great evening.
night.
right.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022, 6:30 PM on the notice of intent for Joseph Barboza, care of W Engineering LLC, 27 Jefferson Street, Taunton, Massachusetts, 02780, to construct a garage addition and driveway located on Assessors Map 51, Lot 9, 274 Cremisa Road, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Was there anybody here online representing this project?
Hello, I am Evan Watson.
Kevin? Okay, Ms. Bichette will read it, the project.
This project is at 274 Cremisa Road, and the project involves the construction of a garage addition to the existing dwelling in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and within a coastal flood zone. A 24 by 28-foot garage addition is proposed, approximately 47 feet from the top of the coastal bank, and also within flood zone AE elevation 16. A gravel driveway off of Grace Lane would also be installed to access the new garage. Hay bales and silt fence would be installed between the work and the resource area. I did have a quick question about the grades because the plan doesn't really show any proposed grading. So I was just curious what's going to go on with that, since you do have a bit of a slope where this building would go. Is there going to be some grade changes, or how would that work, that retaining wall?
Yeah, very good. Evan Watson, W Engineering. So if you see the slab elevation where it's set at elevation 8, there's an existing grade wall there, and on the low side it's elevation 8. So we can essentially just build right into that slope, and we won't need to do any grading around the site. Just basically come right in at the same elevation that it's at.
I see. Okay. Other than that, I did not have any other questions. We did get a DEP file number for this project, so I would recommend the approval of the project with an order of conditions with the standard conditions for the project.
Thank you. Kevin, anything else you want to add on the project?
No, David summed it up nicely. We've been working over the winter getting this plan just right, and I'd like to say thank you for that. And yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any other questions the commission has.
Thank you. Kwame, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Lisa?
Sandy, what I'm not concerned about at all. What you're saying is you're going to sort of build into the hill that's there, the 2 levels, and you'll just build into it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Denise?
This was another of one of the projects that when we were out to the site, there weren't stakes put out. If the neighbor hadn't actually been there, we weren't even sure what side of the house they were talking about building this on. I really, when you put in for something to be done, you need to stake it so that when we go out to the property, we know what we're looking
All
at.
right.
I did not appreciate wandering around the house and having to run into the neighbor to find out what's going on. But I have no other
So
questions.
I would say we are going to continue until May 18th. That would be my recommendation, to have the project staked out at this site, but that's to be discussed. But I'm going to ask Carol any questions.
No questions.
Michael?
No questions.
Nicole?
No questions.
My question is, right now, how much soil must you remove in order to make this garage level?
I don't have that calculated, but the garage itself is only 670 square feet, and it looks like we'd be an average of 3 feet or so over that area.
So, because right now, your garage is going to come out to pretty much where that stone wall is?
Yes, so there's a good landmark there for that. Yep.
So the land closer to the house is higher than the stone wall.
That's right.
But you have to level off the lawn.
No, so the grade around the house will stay the same, and the foundation of the garage will account for the grade change between the existing lawn and the garage slab. So the only soil that would need to be removed would be underneath the actual garage slab, and that way we come out of the garage right at the elevation of the existing ground on the low side of that wall.
Okay. So there must be steps inside the garage to get into the house, because it will be much lower than the door we're looking at.
Yes, so the top of foundation is at elevation 13.5. The garage slab is at elevation 8. And you can see we have a 24 by 28 garage, and that gives us the room to add the stair to get up from the garage into the house.
And so, okay. All gravel for the driveway.
That's right.
Now, I am very concerned with how green this whole lawn is. Any idea how much nitrogen fertilizer is being placed on this lawn? Because if we approve this notice of intent, it comes with a standard condition that that only low releasing nitrogen fertilizer is used in the area.
I have no knowledge of how much nitrogen he puts on there, no. But if that's a condition for the notice of intent, the order of conditions, that would be okay.
Okay. Is there anybody online that would like to comment on this project?
I move that we continue this project to 5/18 so that we can see what after it's staked out.
That be the motion, we continue into 5/18 because lack of staking.
Second,
So I have a motion and a second to continue to 5/18. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Michael, Sandy, will continue to 5/18 with lack of stakes, lack of identification of location.
But at least he has all the information. Are we ready?
Yes, David was very helpful to say where it was, and he even offered me the opportunity to bottom paint his boat. So
Oh,
He did for us too. You really want somebody to paint the bottom of that boat.
Very good. So we'll put some stakes out. There'll be 2 corner stakes at the where the stone wall is, where the garage comes to the stone wall, and then we might put a couple stakes out where the gravel drive is as it comes into the road.
and
label them, please.
where it attaches to the house. So I would expect 6 stakes.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next one, please.
Certainly. Number 4. Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Sure Crane Services, care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to construct a 196 kilowatt ground-mounted solar photovoltaic electric generating facility. Oh, that's a mouthful. Located on Assessor's Map 115, lots 1002B and 1008, Charge Pond Road, off Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here representing this project?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Brian Grady with GAF Engineering. And
Okay, before
also,
sorry?
well, I was just going to say Ian Ward is also here, and I believe Mr. Medeiros may be logged on. So we'll be happy to any questions.
Well,
after
I'm going to
Dave
tell
has
you,
it.
extremely disappointing to get out there and find a gate locked going across town property to get to this to get to this site to look at it. Did anybody else find a locked gate?
Well, Sandy, I just had to step out really quick, and I understand we're on the Charge Pond Road project. Whereabouts is this absolute address?
Do you know where the municipal maintenance building is on Charge Pond Road?
Yeah, I know where Charge Pond Road is. Yeah,
Well, you know the municipal maintenance building? Just after
Okay.
that, there's a dirt road, and that cuts across the town-owned property to get to this site.
okay, gotcha.
Dave, can you show him where that dirt road is on the map in front of us, on the plans in front of us? So it is a locked gate. You can't get in, and I'm a little annoyed that they prevented people from coming on town property.
Okay.
But this-
Yeah,
I had to take,
I'm
Madam
almost
Chair,
done.
this
I'm
is
almost done.
I'm trying to get location. This
Sorry?
Is this beyond the municipal building?
Yes, just beyond, and you have a municipal building. You
'Cause
have
then I
the
wasn't-
barn where they used to maintain the buses. Then you have a dirt road on the right with a
All
little,
right, I was at completely the wrong place then.
Right.
so
Because you were told by municipal maintenance that's where it was.
Yeah, municipal maintenance sent us to the wrong place.
well, I'm sorry, but you
Yeah.
couldn't have gone in, you could have walked, but it was a long way. But I was annoyed that somebody blocked access to town property. If they had put the gate at the end of this access road on their property, that was different. But that's me. But Mr. Pursuant, would you like to read to this project? Because I'm going to ask for a continuance so I can go view it.
Yes, so the The project is on lots 1002B and 1008 off of Charge Pond Road. And the project involves the installation of a ground-mounted solar array in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. A 196 kilowatt ground-mounted solar array is proposed within a block of land between two existing cranberry bogs. The proposed solar array and associated work would be outside the 50-foot no activity zone to the cranberry bog. The solar array would be used to generate electricity for the cranberry operation. An 8-foot fence would be installed around the perimeter of the array. The site is relatively flat and there is very little grading proposed. Hay bales and silt fence would be installed between the work and the resource area. We did receive a DEP file number for the project. I had no questions about the project and would recommend the issuance of the order of conditions with the standard conditions and the added condition that the fencing be at least 6 inches off the ground to allow for the passage of small animals. But other than that, I had no further questions.
Okay, Brian, you want to take a stab at it?
Well, I have nothing to add to David's comments. I can't speak to the gate being locked, and what I can do about getting that unlocked for you. Every time I've been there, nothing's been locked, so I do apologize for that. I don't know how you want to get back out there, if you could give us a time, or how we should accommodate that. If you could let me know.
We'll ask the commission what they'd like to do about it. Keep in mind, folks, this is the same property that had the 61A, and we made a recommendation to the town not to buy the property. That's where this is located. So we've been before us for the whether or not the town should purchase right of first refusal. So this land has been before us, but not as a project that we're seeing now. So,
Can I ask one more question of you, Sandy?
well, I haven't gone around to questions yet.
No, but does this pertain to the new solar bylaw or the old solar bylaw?
There's only one bylaw, and that's on the books. Nothing has been approved by anybody at state. So what's on the books is what we got.
Well, the proposed solar zoning bylaw passed it last week. That's what I'm asking.
Didn't pass by the Attorney General, or that has to be approved. Nothing, that has to happen first.
You're sure?
I really am.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Because if that was the case, then then that 5-year clearing, the one that we had last town meeting should have passed, and that didn't get accepted by the state.
Okay. All right.
So this was proposed before town meeting, so it's still under the old bylaw.
Still under the old bylaw. Okay.
That's my understanding. Anybody else says differently? I'd like to have a conversation. Okay. All right, I'm going to ask the question of commissions. Kwame.
I just like to actually, like what you did, Sandy, try to get out there. Physically, it was kind of like impossible. So I would like to have a field trip.
So,
Yeah.
Brian, any idea who locked the gate on town property?
No, I don't.
Is there any, is the landowner online?
I believe the applicant, Mr. Beaton, is traveling. I don't think he was able to log on this evening. He has a
Okay.
So
that's Kwame's. Yep, Kwame was just as unhappy as I was that I couldn't go see the land. Alyssa.
Same.
Denise.
I want to get to see it. Yes.
Carol.
No other questions.
Michael.
Yeah, I'd also like to see it, but I'm just curious, how many trees are we anticipating to see just slaughtered in this?
Brian, I think this has all been cleared for earth removal, right?
Well, it's all been cleared, but it's all land and agricultural use. There's been a number of activities that have taken place in this strip in the past. Blueberry plantings, so it's support land, and it was recently used for a staging area when they reconstructed it and the bogs adjacent to it. So there's no vegetation, no trees on the property.
No,
No
it's not,
vegetation,
it's not an old forest.
not
No.
old forest, in other words? Okay.
Anything else, Michael?
No, that's it at the moment.
Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, anybody online that would like to comment on this project?
Aye.
I see
Yes,
Kathy.
you do have Nancy McHale who would like to comment.
Okay, Nancy, you're live. Ask your question, please.
Thank you very much. My question relates to whether or not the town has released this from their right of first, 61A right of first refusal. It was my understanding at the last Board of Selectmen meeting that this came up, that they still hadn't decided what was going to happen on that.
That is correct. They were given 120 days to make up their mind, and I know they know it's coming up short, but as far as I know, they've not released their right of first refusal.
Correct. Was this section of land ever used as a cranberry bog? Is it a vegetative wetland based on the obligate species of the cranberry?
No, this.
Anybody
this,
else have a question?
Yeah, this section was not cranberry bog and does not have cranberry vines on it at all. It's just sort of a sandy area between existing bogs. So it's elevated higher than the existing bogs and it is not a bog itself.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your taking the time to answer that. Appreciate it.
Is
Sure.
there anybody else online? Then,
Move
before
to
we take a
continue.
motion to continue into 5:18, Brian, can you reach whoever it is that controls the key to the lock so we can get in? And let us know
Yeah.
when it will be available.
Yeah, I will get in touch with them and I don't know how you want to coordinate it. Pick a day and we'll have it open
Well-
that day.
Let them know when it can be opened. Send a note to Mr. Bichette and he'll let us know. I would like to have at least 2 alternative days.
And
I
do
will,
you want this to be done in late May or early June? For your schedule,
Don't worry about it.
okay?
All right. You want to, what's the meeting after 5:18?
June, right?
6/1, it would be June
6/1.
1st.
Well, your commission's recommendation,
Continue to
to continue, you choose the date.
6/1.
6/1.
Great.
Okay, so there's a motion to continue until 6/1.
Second,
Second.
That's the motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame?
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes,
Denise,
Yes,
Carol,
yes,
Yes.
Sandy. Now, Brian, that will give the landowner time in order to have the town with their right of first refusal, because this might still be something that the town has other, I don't know, other discussions about, okay?
Yeah, I don't know if that has bearings on your determination under this. I mean, we could
No,
certainly.
well,
get-
if they don't own the land and the town buys it, it does.
Well, they do currently own it, and that's the project that's before you, but I do understand what you're
But
saying.
the right of first refusal has not been decided by the selectmen yet, so, okay.
Okay, I will make
have the vote.
arrangements to get the gate open for you.
Yes,
Thank you.
just let Dave Bichette know your date's available and the Conservation commissioners will work around that date. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
are we ready?
Yes, please.
Notice of public hearing. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protected Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. on the notice of intent for Hamilton Beach Association, care of Kevin Grant, 1 Reynolds Ave, Wareham, Mass. 02571. For beach nourishment, located on Assessor's Map 50F, lots 1049 21, and 23 Worrell Avenue, Wareham, Mass.
And it's my understanding they want a continuation because of that, we will have no discussion on this particular project.
Motion to continue till May 18th, if that's the right date.
Second.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the
Second.
motion.
Second.
I heard a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy.
I think we passed.
Okay, so that's that one. So now we come on to continued hearings. James Capariccio is up for a continued hearing. Anybody here representing that project?
I thought I saw
Um,
Bill Lockwood.
I thought I
somewhere.
saw Mr. Lockwood.
Lockwood, yeah, he was there.
He he did say that he was gonna have possible issues with his computer. Oh, there he is.
Thought I heard him.
Okay.
So Mr. Bichette will read to the project at 5 Albatross Avenue. We lose Dave.
No, I'm here. So the project is at 5 Albatross Avenue, and the project involves paving a driveway in the buffer zone to wetlands at this site. So the project is to pave the existing driveway, which would be approximately 35 to 40 feet from the edge of the wetland that exists here. And they are proposing to pitch the pavement back away from the wetland to address any runoff from the proposed paving work. So everything would be within the footprint that currently exists. They just would like to have the driveway paved versus the crushed stone driveway that currently exists. As long as the stormwater is accounted for in terms of the way the driveway is pitched, I have no problem with the proposal and would recommend the approval of the work with a negative determination number 3.
Bill, anything to add?
You'll notice we've shown an infiltration trench. So after we've pitched the driveway away from the wetlands, we've pitched it into a gravel trench so that it can infiltrate to the soil rather than puddle up. And other than that, that's about the deal.
Any questions, Kwame?
So the thing that's kind of worries me is the paved driveway. I mean, I know that's what it's all about, but I would like to hear everybody else's recommendation.
You mean pervious versus impervious?
Exactly.
Hey, Elisa?
I prefer an impervious. I mean, it's close quarters, close contact, neighbors, whatever. A pervious driveway would be the best.
Denise?
It's close to the wetlands. It's being trenched. Is that correct?
Bill, can you respond?
Yeah, it is close to the wetlands, and we're right now it's crushed stone, so
Right.
it percolates to a certain extent. It also scatters stones when you run the snow blower over it, and that you'd like to be able to
pave it.
plow the driveway with the snow blower. That's the primary purpose, and it also will control any oil spillage or whatever, so that it lands on, that's not infiltrating directly in. In terms of the infiltration, whether it's whether it's pervious paving that is then rooted to, whether it's impervious paving that is rooted to pervious infiltration, or whether it's directly infiltrated through a stone base, it gets to the same place. As it is, the Albatross Ave drains most of itself right into that same wetlands, just to the southwest of the existing driveway. So
Oh, more reason.
And is this, Mr. Pichette, this is outside of the no activity zone?
Yes, that's correct.
On the outside. I would like to say thank you to this gentleman for coming to us, because it looks like a couple of his neighbors did not, and they just put in driveways. I think if the drainage system works, then I would feel comfortable with it. It's up to the rest of the commission.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Yeah, just like the rest of the board, I would prefer a impervious surface. Other than that, I have no other questions.
Pervious surface.
I think that's it. You guys are just confusing me here. Impervious surface, guys, go ahead.
Impervious.
Nicole.
That's what I
No
just said.
questions,
Just
thank
give me
you.
your,
Okay, so Denise,
What?
you'll accept a impervious surface as long as it's draining away from the wetlands as proposed on the plan,
The way the trenching is.
with the trenching is, what I hear
Mr.
from
Yeah,
most
Mr.
everybody else.
Pichette feels comfortable with that.
Okay. I
Yeah,
hear,
and I would just like, if I could just add, we're seeing some of these projects come in these days of a similar nature. And I think if there's proposed structures or a way to accommodate stormwater, then it's not illegal to have paving done. If they're not accounting for that and they're just discharging water directly into the wetlands, well, that's different. So we have other projects where there's underground infiltration trenches being installed, things of that nature. So as long as the stormwater is accounted for, it's not illegal to pave.
Sandy?
yes,
So on that same note, the difficulty that I have is that we've had several people who've come in with great plans, and then we go back afterwards and, oh, this Cape Cod berm didn't work. Oh, this one didn't work. So I guess we have to put our faith, if we're going to pass this, in Mr. Lockwood and say, how are we going to, so if it doesn't work, they have the asphalt down, he's not going to drill up the asphalt. So my question is, how are we going to know that this will work?
a good question. Because the alternative, if I'm hearing from most of us, we want a pervious surface, which means they put in a pervious asphalt or they put in pavers, right?
That's
Or
correct.
you believe the plan that will allow for a repitching of the driveway and into this infiltration trench that's on the plan. Did I understand everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know how you say whether it does or does not work. I'm
All right,
not gonna
well, let me
find out.
ask Mr. Lockwood a question. Do you have any of these that are working really well that one would be able to say, gosh, that's just like the one we talked about yesterday?
Can't point to one, but there's certainly hundreds of examples of infiltration facilities. This is not my primary purpose.
Right.
Because I'm not but the basic principles of pitch
Training. Sure.
and infiltration are reasonably well known. It's not magical.
And if I'm looking at this picture correctly, everything is pitching away from, like it's pitching to the right and the wetland is to the left.
That is correct.
And then where's the trench? It's on the right?
It's identified on the drawing that you're looking at on the right side of the part of the driveway.
Okay, and does this work like if they used pavers that would allow, what is it? Pervious is what we're
Percolation.
talking about.
It would
If
allow
you-
the water to percolate.
Yeah, if one were to use pavers, then you have to put down a gravel base. And all too often, what happens with pavers is that they put down a solid, a very hard packed, stone dust base, which is practically impervious. And the fact that water can go between the paver cracks and then hit impervious, and it looks like it might work, but it doesn't work as well as actually paving and making sure that it gets into the soil.
The trench, okay.
Is there anybody online that would like to comment on this project? Is everybody satisfied with closing the hearing and making a motion?
Could, wait, before we just go, Sandy, could Ms. Lockwood just give a quick 30-second review here again? Because I happen to have missed some of it.
On what? Using pavers?
On his design to use trenches to carry the water away from the resource area.
Okay.
So, Bill, can you just quickly tell me again?
Okay, sure. Right. Quick summary, there is an existing driveway there. It is currently paved with crushed stones over a gravel base. We're proposing to put an asphalt paving on top of that, pitched and regraded as necessary so that it pitches away from the wetlands towards an infiltration trench of the similar nature that one would use for a septic system. And that will accept the water that has run off from the driveway into the trench and then infiltrate into the soil and away. So
You guys
All right.
are fucking believable.
Thank you.
Oh,
Is there anything else?
No.
Okay. I've asked this, nobody in the audience would like to speak, so
Somebody made their opinion known.
move to close the hearing.
Second.
motion to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Sandy. The hearing is closed.
I,
Excuse me.
go ahead, Kwame.
Go ahead, Kwame.
No, I say we accept the project with a -3 determination. I assume that we are going with a paved element with hopefully everything that Mr. Lockwood said works.
Yes, that is the motion. We accept the plan in front of us. I have a
Second.
motion, and I have a second. All in favor? Kwame,
Yes.
Alyssa,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Sandy. Yes. So if you see Mr. Bishop before you start the work,
thank you all. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
next continued hearing is the town of Wareham for Heinz Field. Is there anybody here representing that project?
Phil Madden on behalf of the town from GAF Engineering.
I understand we have a new plan that was submitted to us. Mr. Bichette,
Yeah, let me pull that up here.
it seems that plan incorporated the recommendation from the last meeting.
That's what it looks like, yes.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Bishek?
So this project site is at Heinz Field in Onset, and the project involves the construction of a parking lot in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and within a coastal flood zone. Initially, the project proposed a 94-space parking lot on the site, which was approximately 35 feet from the edge of the wetland and also in flood zone AE elevation 14. This would also include landscape islands, curbing, lighting, and sidewalks as part of the project. At the last meeting, there was some discussion about reducing the size of the overall parking lot and trying to increase the size of the stormwater structure. This revised plan does reflect those sorts of changes that have been incorporated into the plan. I'll let Mr. Madden kind of go over the changes and what the number of parking spaces is currently on this revised plan. So this is obviously an improvement over the initial plan, in my opinion. We do have a DEP file number for this project, so if the commission is comfortable with this project, then the project can be approved with the standard orders and conditions and the added conditions that the parking lot be maintained in accordance with the stormwater and operation plan that was submitted as part of the project. And also that the site be picked up from just general trash on a regular basis.
Do you have a regular basis in mind?
Well, it's difficult to say because, obviously in the winter, it's going to be used less than in the summer. So I think it's just going to have to be a coordination with Mr. Menard and municipal maintenance on how often that occurs.
So we can say at least once every 3 weeks when it is used?
Oh,
and not
no.
when, because
No.
this is not going to be plowed in the winter, correct?
I have no idea what they may or may not do in the winter. I would say it would need to be cleaned more than once every 3 weeks in the summer because things add up fairly quickly in the summertime. But, again, it's going to have to be a judgment call as the place is viewed once it's in use.
Because I would like to see something very permanent in the standard order of conditions, a specific time frame, but I'll let the commission ask the questions. Bill, is there anything you want to add?
No, we reduced the parking stalls by approximately 20. There's 76 there now under the redesign. And we increased the size of the rain garden by over 3.5 times what it was originally. And when you size an infiltration BMP like that, you need to know the square footage of the impervious area that you're trying to capture the stormwater on. You use in an instance like this, we use the 1/2 inch of rainfall, seeing as we don't go to a critical area. So we sized it using 1/2 inch of rainfall. Anytime you have an infiltration BMP, you need to really look at what the impervious area is that's draining to it so you can ensure the thing is of the proper size. And that's what we did here. So by applying that 1/2 inch rainfall over the entire impervious area of the parking lot, we came up with the area of the rain garden that would be required. And then using that area, we determine what volume we would have to have because the soil, the bioretention soil that's inside that rain garden, that has to be calculated as well. So we know we can store there. We have capacity of about 4,000 cubic feet of stormwater that we can treat in the rain garden. This is considered a filtering rain garden where we have an impervious barrier that envelopes the entire soil medium within the rain garden. And in that soil, we have a perforated pipe that will capture the treated runoff and discharge it into the stormwater manhole. Another feature is you notice there's a house nearby. There's no septic systems anywhere near the site. You know, when we have infiltration going on, you don't want your infiltration. There's a code requirement for separation between infiltration trenches and say Title V sanitary systems. So we meet all those setback requirements with this project. We also use our rain guardian turrets. Those are the features that we're using. We're directing all the stormwater to each one of those 2 points. And at that location, the water will enter into the stormwater basin. What we expect is most of the debris that is carried with stormwater will find its way into that and be trapped in there. Effectively, it's a catch basin that's viewable from the surface of the ground. Water gets, so the debris is trapped within that. It's easily maintained. A man with a shovel and a 5-gallon bucket can usually walk by that, shovel that, and put it right into a pail and put it into a dump truck. It is not very, labor intensive for cleaning out the debris that finds its way into the turret. Any other debris, we put a wooden guardrail along the edge of that to prevent any vehicles from driving into the rain garden. And in front of that rain garden, we also call for a 10-inch diameter compost filter sock to be placed there. It's going to be essentially woven in around those 8-inch square posts where the guardrail is. And I think I showed a picture. I don't know if I showed a picture, but I saw a site in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago where that's what they used in a very urbanized area to kind of keep the trash collected against one area so that trash didn't find its way into an infiltration BMP. So I tried to copy that at that area there. I think that it'll keep the debris right at the edge of the pavement, right by the fence, and it should be pretty easy to clean up. We have the hope that we won't find what we normally find. I don't know. There shouldn't. I haven't seen as many nips on the side of the road, empty nip bottles as I had in the past. Cigarette butts, things of that nature, paper products. But that's what we chose to do in that particular area. So I think it's pretty good. We show a 15-foot wide level spreader out at the back. When this rain garden reaches capacity and wants to overflow, the first point of overflow will be into those domes or those drains that Dave's pointing to now. That'll carry the water that's on top of the surface into directly into that drain line that'll be tied into the existing 12-inch line that's going to be constructed with a drain manhole that'll be constructed on that existing line. And that drain line will also be provided with a backwater valve to speak of, so that any of the tidal action that might cause any backflow will not enter our rain garden and harm the plant material that's planted there. The plant material is pretty significant. There's a couple hundred plants there. Quite a bit of it is ground coverage type of material in low-lying shrubs. There's not many big trees. So hopefully, the debris will stay out of it and won't cause a lot of maintenance issues within the rain garden itself. The islands, we had proposed using those as infiltration islands. I think you might recall that I talked about putting pea stone on top of a 2-foot bed of sand to accomplish some recharge in the area. The recharge would be a result of direct precipitation that falls on it. Get in the order of magnitude of 40, 48 inches in southeastern Mass. So I think that recharge element would greatly exceed what would be required for the impervious surface. And when Dave and I met on the site, he had a comment. We had discussion on what the redeveloped area would be, and what I decided to do is just disregard any redevelopment element and just treat the entire parking surface for the first half inch of runoff. we're able to do that. And I think it's a better solution. That's pretty much it. There's a wooden guardrail with a couple of rails there. I think I talked about that. This site on the right-hand side of the image, that was all staked out. At least this job got staked out. I don't know if you had an opportunity to get out there and see it, but we did stake out that side around the parking facility itself and the rain garden. We left the area along 11th and Wareham Ave pretty much the way it was. We felt that was easily understood with respect to what we were proposing there, given the fact that the road is right there and there's not much else other than that in the area. So that's pretty much what we have. I think it's an improvement over what was there. And that's what I have to add, and happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you. Questions on the board for me?
Yeah, I just want to say, Bill, that's nice. I like how you did it, and I look forward to seeing it come to fruition. But this is more of a planning board issue. I think there's no EV station for electric cars or anything like that. I mean, this is not conservation question, but just a general question.
No, there isn't, and that was a discussion that I had with the town. We don't know what the terms will be, whether it's going to be a pay for park lot, whether ultimately they will add any charging stations. But I think initially with the funding that's available for it, it was getting the basic infrastructure in place first was the challenge.
Thank you.
Sure.
Elisa?
No, looks great. I hope it's
Denise?
great.
I just wanted to thank Bill for making those changes to that back area. I know you lost parking spaces, but I
No.
think it's good. Thank you.
Carol?
Very good.
No questions.
Michael?
Yeah, no, looks a lot better. Thank you.
Nicole?
No questions. I think it's going to make a huge improvement compared to what it looks like right now. So I look forward to that.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette, can you bring up the plan that shows the vegetation plantings? Bill, are you sure that the pea stone covering sand will be sufficient to keep the weeds down in all of these islands?
I'm pretty certain it should. I mean, I think we need to get a little organic matter in there in order to stimulate a lot of growth. I think that if we use that pea stone with that sand under it, it should be fine. I'd like to say that we will be able to avoid using any type of herbicide on that, but I've seen in the past where most of the time when we have 100% mineral material such as that granular stuff, that it's pretty difficult to get things to grow in it. I know that over time, when you get a lot of wind blown, fine textured material, dusty things, that can create a place for seed stock to bloom and grow. So I think we just have to wait. Perhaps maintenance of raking that stuff out a couple of times a year might keep the weeds to a lower level.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody online that would like to comment on this project?
We have a Holly, I can't pronounce that last name, so my apologies. Haro.
Haritunian, but
Holly
Haritunian and a
Haritunian.
valiant effort. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Is it Mr. Madden? Is that the engineer?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, who from the town hired you for this project?
Who
I'm
from the
going to
town?
answer that question. Town administrator was Ken Buckland on this project.
Okay, so it was Ken and the town administrator?
Yes, Mr. Sullivan is the only one that can approve contracts in Mr. Buckland's project to revitalize this parking lot.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, just as somebody who lives over there, the parking lot works great year round for the 10 weekends a year we use it. A couple of notes, the things that are left there, we get lots of trash on the weekends, from diapers to just big bags of food. I would really ask you all to please add a must be cleaned once a week because all that goes into the marsh. Now you have this trap here. You have the rain garden, I call it the sludge trap. Just all that gas and oil is now going to seep its way into the marsh. And I realize that you have some nice filtration systems, but I don't think in the end it's really going to cut it, especially since the town basically wants to take over a natural area to put up a paid parking lot, which I understand their need for revenue, but this is really a nice ecologically sensitive marsh. We have cranes and herons and all kinds of things back there. I would beg all you conservation people to really walk this marsh, take a look and think about, is all this really necessary?
Okay, anybody else would like to comment?
Okay, I actually have two more comments. And I realized Kwame had mentioned earlier that the EV station, which I think is an excellent idea.
I want to stay with conservation components.
Okay, what about light pollution and exhaust fumes? Where do they fit in?
Stay with conservation components, that's all planning.
Planning, all right, thank you. I really wish you'd think of the people who live right around there and make that barrier and the sludge trap go all the way across, because the water is about 30 feet away from it. You know, that's a nature place, and I have nothing against parking, but I just think you're asking for too much here so the town can make more money. That's
I
my
don't
2 cents.
understand. I don't like your comment about making money. I've never heard this being a paid parking lot. That's not part of the conversation.
It being a
So
pay for
anybody
parking
else
lot.
would like to comment on this project?
I'm sorry, you felt you went out there. Say that again, please.
I'm not aware of anything that this becomes a paved parking lot. It's not now. We don't pay for it, and I don't think it's any plan.
No, Mr. Madden just said that it was going to become a pay for parking lot.
I did not, I did not say that. In fact, I said I did not know.
It's being recorded. Go back. I promise he did. I wrote it down. I'm taking notes.
Good for you.
I don't think Mr. Madden is in a position to say whether or not the town will make this a pay for parking.
But it's going to be. We know that.
Holly, we do not.
Okay.
I'm going to ask if there's any more conservation components. If not, I would ask, thank you for your comments. Anybody else would like to comment on this project?
I just want to comment, it's very disrespectful to the town and the efforts of the town to provide a good project in an area that really needs it. When I was out there doing my inspections and meeting with Dave Pursuant, it's not a pristine area. It's not a pristine area in any respect. In fact, when people are riding their mini bikes and dirt bikes and falling around and creating ruts and places for water to travel into that wetland, that's not right. This is a controlled environment now. It's intended to be used as a parking facility. We put in the best management practices that are available for a site like this. The town should be proud that that they have the open-mindedness to see what's needed in here and do something beneficial.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other
disagree,
comments?
and our might
Sorry.
be a little, but that doesn't mean we don't love a natural field where we play baseball and
Far
walk our
from natural
Holly,
field. There's
excuse me,
40,000 square feet of,
Bill, Holly, please.
sorry, I apologize.
We've heard Holly's comments. We've heard Bill's response. Is there anybody else on the line that would like to comment on this project? If not, what is the wish of the commission?
Like to close the hearing?
I have a motion to close the hearing. Kwame, Alyssa.
Yes.
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, yes, the hearing is closed.
I move that we accept the project.
With the standard order of conditions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, with the standard order of conditions. And do we have anything special as far as?
Yes,
cleanup?
and
Yeah.
we
In
We approved-
conjunction with the stormwater operation plan,
management plan,
and the trash pickup to be per the practice that is in place in, they do it in onset on the pier now. Why wouldn't they?
no, the pier trash is in a container. There's no container here. So I believe what we're asking for is municipal maintenance come by at a predetermined time frame to remove the trash from the parking lot.
Okay.
Denise, why don't you go take this?
All right, so we're gonna move to accept the project with the standard order of conditions in conjunction with storm water management plan. And with the stipulation that the trash pickup be on a regular basis.
As needed or?
Well,
Just
know,
on a regular basis
on
would
a
be
regular basis.
town
Basis as
municipal
needed.
maintenance, sorry, the town municipal maintenance will pick up trash at a regular interval.
Okay.
I believe that's the motion.
Second.
And I have a second. All in favor, Kwame?
Yes.
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Sandy, done. Thank you, Mr. Madden. Thank
Thanks
you.
very much for your time. I apologize for my outburst. It was really uncalled for. And I apologize.
Okay,
We all have embarrassing moments, I guess.
Happens
next
to
hearing,
everyone.
sorry, are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Next hearing, Robert Paroli. Anybody here representing that project?
That would be me, Bill Madden from JF Engineering on behalf of Robert Paroli. I
Okay,
realized that was another one of the sites that you must have been talking about. You know, we just weren't able to get out there in the boat.
He
with the
explained
wind.
that.
Pardon me?
He did explain that to us.
He
Yeah,
did,
no,
but
it was just difficult, but we tried to put a couple of range stakes in line at the center line on the land to help assist in at least an alignment issue with 2 points. And, you know, I'll try to get out there, you know, I'll try to get out there this week and
I
do
don't
it.
know, I don't know if this is going to be continued, but
Okay.
yes, there are some stakes on the land that help us to identify the start of the pier. But Mr. Bichette, would you like to read to the project,
I'm
please?
Yep, let me just get the plan pulled up here. Yeah, so this project site is at 278 Cremisa Road. And the project involves the construction of a pier, ramp and float system, and a boat lift within land under the ocean, land containing shellfish, and within a coastal flood zone. The site is also within the estimated habitat of rare and endangered species. A 240-foot pier, ramp and float system is proposed out into Buzzards Bay. The structure would be partially on land, and the structure would be approximately 198 feet out from the mean high water line. The structure would require installing 37 12-inch diameter pilings. Part of the structure would go across the salt marsh, and it's proposed to span the width of the marsh with, which is about a 32-foot span, instead of having pilings go into the marsh. We had continued the hearing at the last meeting because of the staking that was already mentioned, because of requesting the eelgrass survey to be submitted, which we did get more detail on the eelgrass survey, and comments from the harbor master. So the plans were submitted to the harbor master. I did not receive any comments back, so I'm assuming he doesn't have any concerns with what's being proposed. We also did get comments from Natural Heritage, which they stated that they didn't have any concerns with the project. And we do have a DEP file number for the project as well. So it's, I don't have any problems at this stage with the project as far as recommending approval of it. Division of Marine Fisheries didn't have any negative comments about the project. So it's really up to the commission in terms of the staking issue as to how you want to handle it.
Thank you. Bill, anything to add?
No, I don't. David covered it.
Okay,
Well.
I'm going to ask the commission. Kwame,
No, no questions.
Elisa,
I do have a question, and that is there, you had mentioned something, Dave, I think it was you, said that we have a limit of, on the length of a dock, and it's extra little floats and so on and so forth, and I thought the limit was 194 feet or 190 feet.
So the max limit from mean high water that's allowed under our bylaw is 200 feet, and they have this at 198 feet.
All right, my other question was, I think that you can't assume that's what the harbor master meant when he didn't send you back the letter. I think we need something from harbor master.
And that's up to the commission, so that's fine.
Yeah, I think that we need to have something on, in writing. That's it.
Denise,
I agree with Elisa. I would like an answer from the harbor master. I know he received information on it and that he was intending to answer us because that's what he told me. 2 points that I wanted to ask about. One, with the putting of the buoy into the water as to where this is, that's supposed to happen according to our bylaws when the NOI or the RDAs or whatever they are filed. We shouldn't have to keep asking for this marking into the water. It's strict, it's listed in our bylaws that it should be done. And I would really like to get to see it done. And I've been out there twice already, having to go out a third time because this thing just is not getting placed in the water, is really getting aggravating. And I think it's disrespectful to the commission at this point. And secondly, what the length of this pier, could he accomplish what he wants to accomplish in terms of getting his boat raised up out of the water so that it doesn't get all gunked up on the bottom as he was talking about? Could that be done at a shorter length? Why does he have to go out 200 feet or 198 feet? Would he consider something shorter, and could he accomplish something shorter?
Especially if you use boat lifts.
well, I'm going to ask Mr. Madden, is there any way, is it because of all the rocks there that he's gone so far out, or is it the depth of water that determined the length of the pier?
Depth
It's a combination of both, but the rocks are really one of the major obstructions to what might be done a little closer, closer to shore. I believe that contour, that's the next contour down from for the rocks is elevation is 3, and it's kind of shallow. It's right where the 198 is, Dave, -3, right in there, that contour line. So we'd have to be inside of that line, on the same lines of the pier, but you see all those rocks, and even the approaches into the floating dock or the float and into the boat lift, would have to navigate around those obstacles, those rocks. So the rocks really had a lot to do with where we cited things.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
And what was there was one other comment
Denise wanted to go if you could reduce the length of the dock, and you've explained it.
I talked about putting the buoy out.
Yeah.
Well,
in
Bill,
the
that's supposed
buoy,
to be done when you put the NOI in. It's stated in the bylaws.
No, we understand that, but I mean, the wind's been blowing like a hurricane, and all we have is a little 14-foot skiff to do the work in, and it doesn't take much more than 10 knots of wind to create not the greatest situation for somebody to be out there and try to range it in on the stakes that we have in the land. You're right. It is required. It does need to be done.
It needs to be done.
Okay.
We're happy to do it.
Yes, it is a requirement, and yes, it's a small boat, and yes, it's been very windy. Understand. Okay, anything else, Denise? If not,
No,
Carol,
that's it.
No questions.
Michael?
Yes, very quickly, just refresh my memory off the top of my head. Of these two docks, this was the one that had that like square walkway at the very, very end. That's been fixed and here shown here,
No,
correct?
that's the other, that's the other.
the
one.
other
Yeah, that's the other one. Okay, thank you.
Nothing exists here right now. Okay, and Nicole,
No questions, thank you.
so we're missing, Mr. Buckminster has not responded to our request, and we would like to have an indication of the length of the dock. Is that the two things I'm hearing?
Yes,
I move that we continue the hearing. to May
Sorry,
15th.
one more. Is there anybody in line that'd like to comment on this project?
Sorry.
Hearing none?
I move that we continue this hearing until May 8, is it 18th?
Yes.
Yes.
Second,
All in favor, Kwame?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Carol? Michael? Sandy? We are continued. Next hearing is Joseph Barboza. Anybody here representing Mr. Madden, are you representing this project?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Mr. Bichette?
Okay, let me just pull this plan up here. So this site is the neighboring property at 274 Cremisa Road. And this project involves the construction of a pier, ramp, and float system out off the end of an existing stone jetty at this site. At the last meeting, we had some of the same issues as the previous project where we were looking for the staking, comments from the harbor master and also the eelgrass survey. Again, we did get comments relative to the eelgrass survey and comments from Mass Division of Marine Fisheries, who did not have a problem with the proposed project. I also had the concern of this project having this additional walkway around the boat lift, which in my opinion should not be approved as part of the project. The project does require the installation of 30 pilings, and that number could be reduced if that walkway was not put there. So that's essentially my comments on this particular project. That's still my same comment. We do have a DEP file number for this, but the commission, I'm assuming, is going to continue for the same reasons as the last project.
Bill, anything to add?
No.
Questions from the board? Kwame?
I agree with David's assessment.
Elisa?
No, no comments, no questions.
Denise?
again, it would be just if they could accomplish what they want to accomplish and without going out 100 and, what's this one, 198 feet?
They're extending
99.
it by 73 feet over where they are right
190
now.
They're going out 199 feet in this one. And then,
'Cause-
yes, I agree with Dave with the walkway and getting rid of it so it reduces the pilings and wanting to hear from the harbor master. And the mark needs to be in the water for me, please.
Carol?
No questions.
Michael?
Yeah, I agree with the rest of the board. It's really, I don't have nothing to add, same thing.
Nicole? Is there anybody online who'd like to comment on this project?
Move to continue the project to 5/18.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to continue. Looking for Mr. Buckminster's response and a marker to indicate the total length of the proposed pier.
And
So,
discussion
okay,
of the
motion and a
walkway,
Sorry.
Sandy.
What?
Discussion,
Discussion
ahead.
of the walkway for the number of pilings under it.
That's not the reason to continuing, but that will be part of it when we continue.
Well, yeah, as long as
I
we,
mean, so we're continuing because it appears not marked, the length, and we're continuing because of Mr.
all right,
Buckminster.
so you don't want to, all
Okay,
right.
all right.
Sorry.
It will be part of the discussion when we're missing the two components.
Surely,
Okay,
thank you.
so I have a motion to continue. I need Kwame,
Yes.
Yes,
Denise,
Yes,
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. Will continue it until 5:18, waiting for Mr. Buckminster and an indicator of the length of the pier.
Yeah, and Bill has a quick question.
Sorry.
Thanks. Just thinking in advance, I mean, I know that sometimes we don't get those comments that you want, you know, sometimes from the harbor master. What happens if we, you know, if we run into the same situation for a couple more meetings?
Can we continue until we have Mr. Buckminster respond?
Okay, fine, thank you. And
Okay,
yep,
so
perfect.
the next hearing is Ryan Belco.
Blacko.
And I would think we have a new plan for this. Is there anybody here representing this project?
Hi, good evening, Brian Wallace with JC Engineering.
Okay, Mr. Bichette. These are the new plans, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So this project site is at 72B Burgess Point Road. And the project involves the construction of a single-family dwelling with attached garage, a separate standalone garage, an in-ground pool, a stone retaining wall, and associated utilities and driveway within the buffer zone to a coastal bank and within a coastal flood zone. A 32 by 58-foot dwelling with attached 30 by 30-foot garage is proposed within flood zone AE elevation 16. There's a separate 30 by 40-foot standalone garage also proposed. And there's also a 20 by 40-foot in-ground pool with associated patio and pool house approximately 75 feet from the top of the coastal bank. At the last meeting, we had discussed the placement of the stone retaining wall being within the velocity flood zone, and we had asked that that be pulled out of the V zone. And so this revised plan did shift the features around so that that retaining wall would be outside of the velocity flood zone. So you still would have that in place, but it would just be outside the V zone, and you see the associated grading that would be behind the retaining wall. The limit of work is right up to the 30-foot no activity zone line as shown by the hay bale line. So you could have clearing of trees all within this area right up to the edge of the hay bale line. So there's no work proposed within the 30-foot no activity zone. It is a proposed paved driveway. They do have infiltration structures proposed to accept stormwater from the driveway. There's actually a catch basin right in this space here to catch water, and also a grass swale along the edge of the driveway to also collect stormwater from the paved driveway. The building also, the home also does have its own separate infiltration structures for the roof runoff for the house. We do have a DEP file number for this project. So based on the plan revisions, I would recommend the approval of the project with the standard conditions for the project, and also that the 30-foot no activity zone be the limit of work for any removal of vegetation.
Okay. Dave, can you, I'm having a tough time seeing the screen. Can you put your cursor around the 30-foot? The 100-foot?
So the 100-foot line is this line right here that kind of cuts through the property. That's the 100-foot to the coastal bank. And this line is the 30-foot to the top of the coastal bank right here.
Do we have any authority to recommend items outside of the 100-foot?
We do on this particular site because the whole site's within the coastal flood zone. So essentially the whole site is within our jurisdiction.
Thank you. Brian, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Dave summarized it pretty well. I guess I would just add, you know, the plan you had before. We did have the pool deck, and that pool house within the 100-foot coastal bank buffer zone. And you might have seen that staked out in the field. By moving the wall out of the velocity zone, we opted to shift everything with it, including the pool house, the house itself, the driveway. Everything shrunk and got a little bit closer towards the front of the property. So you can see the most of the site features are outside of that 100-foot offset. That's all I would add.
Questions on the board for me?
Maybe I missed it, but what kind of driveway? Is it pervious or impervious on the driveway?
It would be a paved driveway, so it would be impervious.
Okay. Yeah, so that the stakes were for the pool. That's
correct. Yeah, we staked out everything that was within that 100-foot buffer zone. So, like I said, most of it, except for some corners of the proposed wall, are beyond that now.
okay. Thank you.
Lisa?
I do have a question on the area between the 30-foot no activity zone and going upward. And that's a pretty big area. Are you telling me that area in between the two walls could all be green grass? If we don't put any limits on it, so we could just have all green grass there and take down trees and everything else, so they have a place to play, not by the pool?
Yeah, that I could see that serving as kind of the primary backyard area for the dwelling. The pool takes up most of that upper level behind the house. There is, you can see a pretty large just remains of a foundation that take up a good chunk of that as well. So that would be cleared in any case. I don't know for sure if there was any plan to save any individual trees, but you know, oftentimes when you open it up, you create some hazards with trees being exposed to more wind and falling anyways. So I would anticipate that being cleared.
So the existing tree line is inside the 30-foot no activity zone. If I look correctly, right above. And this.
Well, the existing tree line is, you know, most of the site is treed over here. This whole area is.
Right,
is
but I'm not
treed.
talking there. I'm talking in front of the wall where you have the existing tree line. If you come up, if you keep moving over, right over here, it says existing tree line.
Yep.
All right, so this is a tree line. So theoretically, they can take nothing from there. You've got to leave those trees there. But I'm talking about this area, which is going to be their playground area, if you will. And it's probably going to be mostly grass. Do we have anything to say about plantings there or whatever? Or is that just theirs?
Well, the town bylaw has a 30-foot no activity zone, but beyond that, it doesn't restrict what's done outside of that.
Yeah.
So
All
the
right,
max that we can limit is the 30-foot.
okay, all right.
Denise,
So we're just assuming then that everything between the pool and the 30-foot is probably gonna end up being cleared and turned into grass. Is that what?
it's all cleared now.
Oh, okay. All right. No questions.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
Go back down towards the driveway a little bit, Dave, for me. Okay, that's good, I guess. And that's fine. And you'd see like a little like rectangle with two circles in it. And then there was like another similar one on the other side of the house. Is that going to be to hold the any runoff for the house itself?
Yeah, so we have where the mouse is now, that those 5 circles, those are 1,000 gallon leaching pits with stone. That's for the driveway, and the garage, detached garage runoff would be directed towards the swale that runs along the southerly side of the driveway. It would all collect into that catch basin, go into that subsurface system. The house has its own separate dry well system. There's 2 out front that would capture, the front of the house, and there is another single leaching catch basin out back for the rear of the house.
That was the one I was referring to earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah. And that could also be used for, the pool, draining the pool. Having that is certainly handy.
don't think so.
No.
Anything else, Michael?
Mean that.
Michael, anything else?
They were mentioned about draining the pool, so go ahead.
We'll
ladies.
be there. Yep,
What's that?
that's not
That's
gonna be
not gonna
allowed.
clear. Absolutely. So go. Do you ladies want to mention that, or
It's on my list.
okay? So Sandy, why don't you go ahead and I believe you speak next. So go ahead.
No, Nicole gets next, then I
I'm
get.
sorry.
something
I'm
else.
sorry, Nicole. You're so new. Go ahead,
That's
Nicole. You can
okay.
go.
I have no questions anyway at the moment.
All right.
Because it is flood zone, I believe we can say that this pool cannot be drained on site and must be pumped by a vendor. It cannot be drained.
And
I
Karen,
believe,
Sandy.
I believe we have that right to say that, correct, Dave?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, the existing wall that's there now, will that be moved?
There is no existing wall there now.
Yeah. Last time it was there, it looked like there was a wall there.
That may have been
Sandy,
the
I
next
think,
door.
yeah, I think you're looking at the next door lot, Sandy. That's
Oh.
that's this wall right here that you're seeing.
That one? Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
right.
that's the clear lot next door
That's-
that was
that's the
permitted.
I was on
previously.
the wrong piece of property because absolutely nothing down there was labeled for 72B. But that's
Well,
all right.
there was some staking on 72B, but it
Staking,
was
yes.
all up here in the woods,
But
kind
there
of,
was
which tricky
staking,
to.
yes, but there was
Yeah.
nothing to say this is 72B. But the point I'm making is this pool cannot be drained on site.
Yeah.
It's going to claim, I don't know whether it's salt or fresh, but if it's fresh, it's going to be chlorinated, and I don't want that water running down there. Does anybody else have a comment on this? Because I'm going to ask the public, is there anybody on the line that would like to comment on this?
Sandy, is there also something where you cannot, you have to get a company to come and fill your pool as well?
They may choose to do that. It's their well. I mean, it's up, if they want to put those gallons out of their well, it's hard to believe they will.
That's a pretty big pool to fill up with your well.
Yeah. Hey.
But I don't know if we can regulate how it fills. We can regulate how it gets drained.
Right.
Okay.
Anybody online to comment on this project?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame, Elisa.
Yes.
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy, the hearing is closed.
I move we accept the project with a standard order of conditions with the maintaining of the 30-foot no activity zone and a stipulation that the pool is not to be drained on site, that it must be drained by a vendor.
There be the motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy. Approved. I just hope they read the order of conditions that it's low nitrogen reducing fertilizer for all that green grass. Okay, next hearing is for Brian Frady's. Is there anybody here representing that project?
I'm Dylan. I'll be representing it myself.
Dylan,
Yes,
I see you. Okay, are you representing this project or is Sam on?
it's me this time. No Sam.
Okay. Mr. Bichette,
Okay, let me just get this plan pulled up here. Okay, so this project site is at 5 Cleveland Way. And the project involves the construction of a retaining wall on a coastal bank and within a coastal flood zone. It's proposed to construct a 4-foot high keystone block retaining wall on the coastal bank and within a flood zone, zone VE, elevation 21. At the last meeting, the project showed the new wall being proposed approximately 5 feet out from the existing wall. And we had requested that that be pulled back to the line of the current wall that's there, that's deteriorating, that's meant to be replaced. So this revised plan does pull the wall back to the location of the existing wall. And again, behind the new wall, it would be a patio placed on top of that. And they do have some infiltration structures constructed to handle runoff from that as shown on the plan. There was also a retaining wall up by the street that had been replaced that was not something the commission approved, but they have now requested the after the fact approval of that wall as part of this project. There was also a comment of some removal of some vegetation down on the beach. At this stage, we do have a DEP file number for this project, and so I would recommend the approval of the project based on the revised plan that we have in front of us.
Dylan, anything to add?
The only thing I'll add is since the last meeting, the builder that we've been talking to suggested that some damage might be done to existing concrete steps on the northwest corner of the house going toward the street. So we'll probably, they're there now and they're deteriorating. So we'll probably replace those with keystone as well. And I think that's in this plan. I just wanted to point it out to you guys.
Questions on the commission's plumbing?
No questions, thank you.
Alyssa?
Only one thing, and that is what is existing vegetation on the beach?
So this was, I don't know if it's kind of grass that's transitioning from the lawn. There were boats left in the lawn when we bought the house and we moved one of them and it ended up, we didn't realize it was armor stake, killed some of the grass. So I'm trying to level out the beach.
The Phragmites?
No, it's not Phragmites. It's just regular beach grass for the most part.
Okay. And so you're planning to take it off the beach? You're planning to remove it, leave it?
The grass,
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave it how it is now.
okay, thanks.
Denise,
No questions.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
No questions, thank you.
Nicole.
No questions, thank you.
The after the fact. Mr. Bichette, what was changed before approval? The steps near the top of the road or something else?
There was a retaining wall where I'm putting the cursor right now in this location that was replaced with no approval. So it wasn't a pre-existing wall. It is something that we would have approved, but it was done prior to getting an order of conditions for that.
So to be consistent, we're looking at a $200 fine.
Yes, that's what we've been doing for these situations.
Is there anybody online that would like to talk to this project?
I move that we close the hearing.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Kwame.
Yes.
Elisa.
Yes.
Denise. Carol.
Yes.
Michael. Sandy. The hearing is closed.
I move that we accept this project as presented with the change, with a fine of $200 for starting part of the project or doing a wall rebuild without taking it before conservation.
And the motion is standard order of conditions,
Of
correct?
course.
I have
Second.
that. I heard a second. All in favor, Kwame, Elisa,
Yes.
Denise, Carol, Michael, Sandy. Okay, Dylan, don't start any work until you get the paperwork from Mr. Bichette, okay?
Yep.
Thank you. Next continued hearing was Scott Green.
We did get a request for a continuance on that one to the next meeting.
I move that we continue this Scott Green to the next meeting, May 18th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy, we are continued until May 18th. The next hearing is RC Moto. Anybody here representing this project?
Good evening, Brad Bertolo, JC Engineering.
Good evening, Russell Amato, applicant.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bichette.
Okay, I'm just grabbing this plan here. Okay, so the project site is at 21 Old Glen Charlie Road. And the project involves the construction of a duplex, decks and a garage in the buffer zone to a wetland. At the last time we reviewed this, the project proposed 2 duplexes. That plan has now been changed with this revised plan that we have to only construct 1 duplex and then a separate standalone garage as you see on the plan. Due to changes requested by the zoning board, they wanted the number of units reduced, and that's why we have this plan in front of us now. Also, at the last meeting, we had discussed the fact that there'd been significant fill and debris placed within the 50-foot no activity zone or in the buffer zone in general on this site that had to be removed and the area restored. So the plan does call out this area hashed in green to be restored. But I think the nature of the restoration has to be more than what's being stated, because it just, in my opinion, shouldn't just be grass seeded with a wild mix. I think there should be some actual shrubs that should be planted within that area. As you can see on this grading plan, that is a very steep slope right there, coming down this hill. So there needs to be some more sufficient planting, and also possibly some jute netting or something of that nature put in place to stabilize that slope until vegetation can take hold. Beyond that, as far as the project itself, I don't have a problem with the project. All the work, as far as any new construction, is outside the 50-foot no activity zone. And again, I would obviously want to see all the debris and whatnot removed out of the area that's of concern, the 50-foot no activity zone, and the area that's going to be behind the garage and duplex as well. We do have a DEP file number for this project, so but at this point, I would rather see a more significant restoration plan submitted than what we have. Once that's submitted, then I would have no problem with approving this project or recommending approval. But at this point, I would recommend a continuance for that. We just did get this plan relatively late in the day, so I didn't have a lot of time to go over this with the engineer. So that's essentially my comments on it.
Thank you. Brad, Russ, anything to add?
Yes, thanks, Dave. I know this project is currently under a 50-foot requirement, but I just want to remind the commission that what we're proposing requires the 50-foot. If we weren't requiring this or weren't proposing the unit count, there would be a 30-foot. So yes, there is disturbance within the 50-foot, and I would say it's I guess unpermitted disturbance, but we are restoring area that would otherwise potentially be able to be used for development if this was a different project. But again, yes, we have no issue with adjusting a detail and calling out jute netting, maybe some low bush blueberry or something like that to kind of fill in that area, or other species as recommended by the agent or commission. But I'll turn it over to the board if they have any other questions or concerns on the project, or whether or not this could be conditioned to be approved pending approval of Mr. Bichette's liking of the plan.
Questions on the commission? Kwame?
No questions, thank you.
Elisa?
No questions, thank you.
Denise?
I think with the condition of what's going on back there, the dumping or whatever's been going on. I mean, I think I saw Santa Claus back there too. I would like to see a better plan with the restoration of the back, because that really is a deep cliff off of that into that gully. And I agree with Mr. Bichette that this, I don't think, is enough to deal with that. So I would like to see a better plan.
Carol?
No questions.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
Is there anybody in line who would like to comment on this project?
I would move to continue the hearing to 5/18.
Second.
Yep, the request is for a more complete restoration plan. So
Yes.
that I have a motion and a second to continue until 5/18. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa, Denise,
Yeah.
Carol,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. Next hearing is Barrett, and they've requested a continuance. Did they put a
Thank
time
you.
frame on their
Thank
continuance?
you.
I think they asked for a June continuance. Mr. Pichette? Did we lose Dave?
Yes, they did ask for a continuance to the June 1st meeting.
So I move to continue to June 1st.
Second.
Motion and a second to continue. All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa, Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy, we're continued until June 1st. Next hearing is TJP Realty LLC.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here for this project?
Yes, Mark Dibb here for Cape and Islands Engineering.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Bichette?
Yeah, let me just get this plan squared away here. Hold on one second.
What is Mark's last name?
Dibb, D-I-B-B.
Thank you.
Okay, so this project site is at Over Jordan Road, and the project involves paving the road and the installation of stormwater structures, some of which are within the coastal flood zone, and some of which are in the buffer zone to a coastal bank. The existing gravel road, Over Jordan Road, is proposed to be paved for majority of its length. I believe at the last meeting, we talked about approximately 1,400 feet of length. The majority of the site is within flood zone VE elevation 17, with a small portion closest to Great Neck Road being at within AE elevation 15 flood zone. It's proposed to have an 18-foot wide width, and currently the majority of it is about 16 feet wide. At the last meeting, there was some comment from DEP about the stormwater checklist that needed to be submitted, which has been submitted. And there was also a request by the commission to have porous pavement for this road instead of normal pavement. And the engineer has submitted a revised plan reflecting that. We do have a DEP file number for this project. So at this stage, I would recommend the approval of the project based on the revised plan that stipulates the porous pavement.
Mark, anything to add?
Did we lose Mark?
Mark, you there?
Mark?
He said he might be in a tricky spot for reception, but
I will ask the commission for questions, Kwame.
No questions, thank you.
Elisa?
Hi, Sandy. When I was reading over this, they did talk about the 2 fire hydrants up on the road and moving those. And I think they also spoke about maintaining a couple of trees or something like that. So I don't really have any questions at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
We had asked them what they were going to do about the trees and those 2 fire hydrants. Do we have an answer?
I think they said they were going to move the fire hydrants. They're planning that, and I thought with the trees I don't know. I know they mentioned them in the paper.
Yeah, there's
So
a whole
Dave may
line.
have it.
There's a whole line of trees there. Mr. Pichette,
Right.
do you know what they were planning? Did they indicate anything to you?
You did say.
Yeah, the fire hydrants were gonna be moved, and as far as the trees, I was gonna have Mark sort of comment on that. I see him kind of trying to get back in here. I don't know if he's,
Looks like he said he lost his audio.
Lost audio, it says,
let's see, hold on.
and I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Well,
Does he want
we'll
to
see if
continue?
he
continue
keeps
to-
trying. Denise, was there anything else?
If he can't speak, does he want to just continue to the next meeting?
Well, we'll see what other questions come up, because I really want an answer on replacing the trees that will be lost along this
Right.
road.
I
So
think
Carol,
we said they replaced them, but you'll have to check.
any questions, Carol?
No questions.
Michael?
Again, I'd really like him to speak. Should we maybe put this on the table for now and see if we get him back?
Well,
I mean, it's
anything else, Michael? Because I'm going to ask Nicole if she has any questions.
not at the moment. I mean, that was just,
Yeah.
that's it.
So, is Mark, if he's not back, I would like to get a motion to table this until later. in the-
So moved. Second.
All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Michael, and Sandy. Yes, because I want an answer regarding the tree restoration. The next hearing is Wareham MA3 LLC. Anybody here for that project? Guess not.
This is the one we're still waiting to get,
Yep.
to get comments relative to the hydrology study, which
Yes.
we still don't have.
Okay, so
Move to continue.
I'm sorry.
Oh, looks
Okay.
like Mark's back.
Mark, give us 1 second and we'll be back with you, okay? So I have a
That-
motion to continue the Wareham MA3 until May 18th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame, Elisa,
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Andy will continue. I'll take a motion to untable TBJ Realty.
I
Move to
move the untable TGB Realty.
Say that 3 times fast.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to untable Kwame, Elisa, Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy,
Yep.
untable. Okay, Mark, you're back. Our question is, how are you gonna handle the trees that are being lost?
I showed 2 trees replanted on the site. They would be, I believe I called the 3-inch diameter shade trees. We located the 2 that are being removed near the sign, and we would replant 2 along the edge. It would be on the other page.
But
Yeah, and we
we're losing more than 2.
Yeah, you're losing all the trees back at the beginning. You're widening it and knocking all those trees down.
Anyway, we
Well,
can- Go ahead,
we-
Mark, I'm
we-
sorry.
Yeah, we identified the ones 6 inches or greater that were in the work limit by the existing stone sign or the existing
Pillars.
stone entrance.
I think you're losing more than, yeah, you're losing a lot more than 4 total. Let's just put it that way, being the ones in the back and.
Okay, I mean, we could definitely either revise the plan or during construction, we could coordinate with Dave. The owner is actually intending to plant trees on the right side from the entrance all the way down, most of the way down the road. But we, as far as this approval, we wanted to just propose to replace what we believed were being removed by the work. And we identified 2 on the plan. If there's additional, I could coordinate with Dave, and we definitely would replace trees at 1-to-1.
Yeah, I'm concerned about replanting a 4-inch tree. That's a big ask of that tree to survive, but is there any other questions on the board? I would like to have, when we permit this, I would like to say that for every tree taken down or roots invaded, that a tree be planted in be replaced.
I think also with that, Sandy, you could probably make it that it has to live at least 1 year or else it gets replaced again. Because we
Yeah.
really don't know what this terrain is going to do or how they're going to react to it.
Yep. So, I would be fine with saying our order of conditions is for every tree removed or damaged must be replaced with a similar type of tree. And that
Similar,
it's guaranteed for 1 year.
Sandy,
Yes,
that is for trees bigger than what diameter? 2 inches?
any tree. Most of the trees that are along this road are at least 10 to 15 years old.
Oh, yeah, they definitely are.
So to me, any tree removed during this or roots damaged during this construction must be replaced with a similar species type of tree and guaranteed for 1 year. Any comment on that?
Should there be an exemption for, say, a hurricane that wipes out trees?
Well,
I
yeah.
do not.
Yeah, this one has to do with construction, not a natural weather event.
How about the
right?
trees dying? If we have a hurricane and it kills trees, that's not because they didn't survive because of the way they were planted or whatever. That's a natural disaster. And it would
Then I still want the trees replaced. Because the trees that are now down there now survived a lot of hurricanes because they were strong enough to hold on to their roots and withstand the wind. So the new trees, I want them guaranteed for 1 year, regardless of how they may have died or got blown away.
Yep.
That's my take.
I agree.
I agree also.
So.
Yeah, the
All right.
applicant would be okay with that.
Okay. Now, is there anybody want to comment on this project before we close the hearing?
I believe that the plan that was submitted, they also talked about a traffic design. So they have a traffic design because that was one of the problems that we questioned previously.
Traffic design?
I think that they mentioned that they have.
Yeah,
that.
I mentioned how would the traffic at the end of the cul-de-sac be able to get in and out? Because right now that's a pretty thin road, let's just put it that way. And how would traffic be able to get in and out with construction occurring?
I think that's outside the Conservation Commission role.
Not really. I think
This
they
is
mentioned-
Law is not within our purview.
This is Mark. We did add a section of construction sequencing and traffic management. Just real quickly, we would be doing the widening, so the gravel subbase in the widening areas first, like relocating the wall, and then paving would be able to be done in half of the roadway and then the half of a roadway. So the intent is to always leave a lane open, but to start with the widening so that that can be possible. But we did add a notes section to the plan regarding that anyways.
Thank you.
All right. I'm hearing nobody else.
Move to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing. I have a second. All in favor. Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael, Sandy, the hearing is closed.
Move to accept the project with the standard order of conditions per the updated plan, including the stipulation that every tree that is taken down be replaced. And if it is damaged, also be replaced, and that it be viable for at least 1 year or it additionally needs to be replaced.
I think that's the motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor. Kwame,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Sandy, yes. So it is approved and Please mark no work until you get the paperwork from Mr. Bichette.
Yes, thank you. And sorry about the technical difficulties. Bye.
It happens. Next
No
hearing,
problem.
Wareham PV1. Is there anybody here representing that project? Fellas, we can hear you.
Good evening. I'm Christopher Wagner from VHB.
Thank you, Mr. Bichette.
Yep, just give me a moment to pull that plan up here.
It's been a long time since we've seen this plan.
It has been a while.
Yes, so this is the project that's at the address 0 Route 25, and the project involves the construction of a commercial solar array in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland, isolated vegetated wetland, and within Riverfront Area. A 3.5 megawatt solar array is proposed on 12 acres of the site. Some of the land is already cleared, but the project would require the clearing of additional acreage on this site. The project has been continued for a number of meetings because of waiting for the outcome of the ruling on the solar bylaw, and more recently for review by the town's consulting engineer on this project. The commission asked that the representative attend this meeting to kind of give a status update, and Mr. Wagner is here to do that. So I'll turn it over to him and see what questions the commission has at this point.
Hey, Christopher, your turn.
Hi, good evening. Dave asked me to appear before you tonight, so we just wanted to say that this project is still active. As he mentioned, it's been going through planning board review. It's nearing the end of that review, and as a function of that, the planning board requested a peer review, and so my understanding is that has been started and potentially finished. I'm not 100% sure where that peer review stands. I haven't seen the results of that peer review, but we would anticipate that if it is not done, that it would be done shortly, and we would anticipate being able to respond to any peer review comments, in short order, and get those to the commission in order for you to consider our responses before the next hearing. So the plan itself has not changed since we first submitted it to the Conservation Commission. So what you see before you is what we presented initially. And as Dave is showing on this sheet here, there's really, there's limited work within jurisdictional areas. There's a small, you can see sort of over toward the lower right bottom margin on this page. Sorry, over on the right-hand side, Dave. That is the limited incursion into the 200-foot riverfront area. That's the only work within riverfront area on the site. It's at the very outermost fringe. And the rest of the work, as Dave is scrolling through here, you can see is everything is outside the 50-foot no disturb zone. And there's limited work, again, within the buffer zone, the 100-foot buffer zone. A lot of the work is outside all jurisdictional areas. And the work that's going on within the buffer zone, for example, on this page, the access road is going to be on the site of an existing dirt road that's there already. So the road will be widened, but this is in the area of the site that has been previously disturbed. So all the area where the array is going to go is also previously disturbed area. So that's basically the bones of the project. And again, we are anticipating shortly the results of that peer review so that we can address any comments that might be that might pertain to conservation. So I will answer any questions that I can to the best of my ability from the Conservation Commission.
Thank you, Christopher. Kwame, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Elisa?
No questions, thank you.
Denise?
Talk to me and explain to me the riverfront area. Show me again.
Sure. Dave, do you want to scroll back up through that first sheet? There it is. Yeah. So there's a stream off to the east of this site that runs north to south. It runs under Route 25, and a small portion of the riverfront area from that stream comes onto our site. Yeah, you can see Dave sort of tracing the extent of the riverfront area. So most of the riverfront area is either off-site, or you can see it just sort of clips the lower corner of our site. We don't have any work proposed over there. The only reason that we are doing work in the riverfront area where the mouse is right now is because, as you can see, that's the narrowest area of the site. And in order for shading purposes, we are doing that small amount of work in the riverfront area, but it's less than 5,000 square feet. And so it meets the performance standards of the Rivers Protection Act.
And is there fencing involved with this?
Yes, there is. There's fencing at the perimeter. You can see sort of that line with the dots on it. That's representing the fencing.
And that fencing is entering the 200 area.
Correct.
200-foot area. And then it's also my understanding that the planning board doesn't approve without hearing from conservation. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct. I wasn't at the last planning board hearing. I couldn't attend, but our engineer has been there, and I believe that is the order.
Okay.
But I can't speak to that with confidence.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Denise, yes, it is.
Okay.
Planning will not do final approval on this project until conservation approves the project.
Mr. Pichette, could you address the fencing that enters that 200 riverfront area? Because I know that's normally a concern of yours.
Yes, I would say that I would have the same concern for this project as any of them within Riverfront. My opinion, the project could be accomplished and not have any incursion into the riverfront area. So that would be my recommendation on this project as well. I was kind of withholding my final comments until we got the comments from the town's consulting engineer on his review. But that would be my comment relative to the riverfront area.
So then we would be looking for them to remove panels and stuff from this area and move the fencing out of our riverfront area?
However they would want to accomplish it is really up to them, but that would be what I would recommend.
So I just want to ask Dave a clarifying question. So I mean, we're talking about two separate things here. One would be the fencing, and the other would be the clearing. So you're saying no, you want to have the fence taken out of the riverfront area, or are you also talking about clearing?
I'm also talking about clearing. In my view, there shouldn't be any work within the 200-foot. I know the regulations say that the commission may allow certain alterations of the riverfront area, but my recommendation would be that they don't do that and just leave it as is.
Okay. I mean, my response would be that, you know, this stream is not your typical riparian corridor. It doesn't really connect anything to anything, right? It flows underneath Route 25, and it basically originates from the southern end of the cranberry bogs to the north. So it doesn't really have a wildlife habitat corridor associated with it. So there's again a very limited strip of incursion that is important for keeping the shade off of those panels in that area, and really minimizes incursion into the riverfront area. We could move the fence outside the riverfront area. I don't think that would be an issue, but keeping the trees at the margin would be important for this section of the development.
And how would it affect your project if you weren't allowed to remove those trees? Would you be removing panels then?
I would have to, I mean, the solar engineer would have to speak to that. My assumption is that yes, panels would need to be removed
And
because they
how
would
that
not,
affect the overall project?
that would negatively impact the project, obviously, to have to remove panels.
Okay, thank you.
Carol,
No questions at this time, thank you.
Michael,
So just to refresh my memory here, so the total project again is 12 acres? Is that correct?
So,
no, it's 2 acres.
Sorry?
22.
22
22
acres?
acres, okay. And of that, how many of those acres have not been approved yet?
I'm sorry, approved?
Yeah, how many of those acres have not been approved yet? Because it sounds like half the land has been approved and half of it have not.
No, nothing's been approved.
Nothing's been approved yet.
Nothing's been approved yet? All right.
So the panels are gonna cover 12 acres and they're gonna clear 11 acres. Is that my understanding?
I'm
Um,
not sure of the area of clearing.
Yeah, the area of clearing, I think, was discussed at a previous meeting to be about 11 acres
Okay.
of clearing, which would be up in this block for the most part and partially over here.
Closer to
and-
25.
Right, and this stretch on the right-hand side has been previously cleared.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
now Dave, hold on. Now, of this riverfront area, okay, of the riverfront area where you have the cursor, okay, where does that river run exactly, or stream run, whatever?
It kind of runs down. It kind of runs down through here, and then ultimately goes underneath Route 25, as Chris stated.
Okay, so it doesn't run across that whole, as I'm looking at it right now, bottom portion of that land. Just runs across that bottom left corner of the corner of the land then.
Yeah, the stream itself is off the site, but the 200-foot distance from the stream does carry over onto the site in this spot right here.
Okay, and approximately how many acres are on this left side of the project? Oh, basically, as I'm looking at it right here, C 2.01, is that how we would describe it?
That's that first sheet, C 2.01.
Okay,
Yeah,
and how many
that's-
acres is that basically? How many
That's
acres of
probably
land?
about that's the southern portion. That's probably about 11 acres or so.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Nicole,
No questions, thank you.
Christopher, going back to that incursion into the 200-foot riverfront, you said how big was it? How many square
It's just
feet?
it's 40. Hang on, I can get an exact number for you. It would be 4,780 square feet.
Of that 4,780 square feet, how many trees and what size would be cut down to improve the use of the panels, i.e. how much shade will be taken down in that 4,780?
Sure, I don't have an answer for that question, but we could, we could get an answer for that.
And I haven't heard anything about raising, the fence will go across all 22 acres, correct?
It will be,
All
it
of
was, would surround, yes, it would surround the array.
All right. And have anybody talked about raising it off the ground 7, 8 inches for critter?
No, I,
movement?
I did hear that comment made at one of the previous hearings this evening. I had anticipated that might come up. I will confirm this with the applicant, but I don't believe there would be a problem with, having a minimum 6-inch gap along the ground level of that, as you know, as you had that condition for the previous project. I'll
I'm
confirm that, but I don't think that would be an issue.
I'm sure those raccoons and skunks and squirrels would like be
They would appreciate it.
able to cross what they've been crossing. Okay, is there anybody online who would like to comment to this project? I believe we will be continuing.
Yes, my name is Barry Cosgrove. I have a presentation, and I would first thank you for your service to the town. It's very late. I've spent a lot of time preparing this with a team of people. I'm prepared to proceed now. Out of respect to all of you, if you would prefer that I wait until the next hearing, despite waiting 3 hours to give this presentation, I will do that respectfully to you if that's what you would like. Otherwise, I'll proceed.
Barry, I would prefer to have the presentation at our next meeting because I know how late it is and I know you've been sitting there for 3 hours and we're all would like this meeting to conclude. Now, have you given that presentation to planning?
Planning did receive a very different scaled down component of this presentation.
Commission members, what would you like to do?
How long is the presentation?
30 minutes.
30
I
minutes.
do not have 30 minutes in me. I don't know about the rest of you because we still have a lot more to go on tonight's meeting.
Look, I understand. I just hope that all of you will appreciate my trying to be respectful of your time and
Yeah.
Mr.
But if it
Bishop,
would be
if we-
nice if you could cut it down from 30 minutes to something like 5 or 7.
well, given the robust problems with this, I regret, I don't think that's humanly possible.
Oh, okay. But Commission, folks, do you have another 30 minutes in you? Because we still have more to do.
If we continued it, could we make sure that it's further up in our agenda? So that
Thank
he
you.
doesn't have to
Well,
wait
did
3
you-
hours
Could
again?
you move that up to the top of our continued public hearings?
I certainly can do that if that's the commission's desire, yes.
I'm hearing that, so please,
Sandy,
yes.
can he also put it perhaps on YouTube so that we could see it at another time before we came in?
I don't know, but I don't do YouTube.
Well, I was just gonna suggest something similar, Mr. Cosgrove. Is it something that you could email or send that I could distribute to the commission ahead of time so they could view it beforehand, or is it not something that can be done that way?
Unfortunately, I would love to accommodate that, but the nature of the presentation involves photographs and visuals, which without the narrative, I'd have to type 100 pages. With the narrative, I can do it much more efficiently. So as much as I would love to accommodate your reasonable request, I think it would not be nearly as impactful or helpful.
So we'll
Okay.
move it up in the agenda to be the very first of our continued public hearings for May 18th.
You said May 18?
Yes,
Yes.
it's our next meeting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Commissions, what would you like to do?
Move to continue the hearing to May 18th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kwame?
Yes.
Denise, Carol, Michael, Sandy, yes, we're continued and we'll put it first so that Barry is up for our first continued hearing.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Extension request.
Thank you.
Thank you. The extension request that we have is for the project we reviewed at the last meeting for the group known as Camp that's doing the cleanup of Agawam Mill Pond with the herbicide treatment application that Mike Lenahan described to us at the last meeting, which the commission approved. This is to formally have the commission vote to grant an extension to their order of conditions to allow them to continue to do that, which I would recommend doing. And the commission has the ability to grant a 1 to 3 year extension. So it's up to the commission as to what amount of time you wish to grant.
So what's your recommendation, Mr. Bichette?
It's been the practice of the commission to grant 1 year extensions. That way they can kind of keep a handle on what's going on with the project. But again, that's up to the commission as to how you want to address it.
All right. Question, Kwame,
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Lisa,
No questions.
Denise,
No questions.
Carol?
One quick question. Has this been granted an extension before? Or is this the first request for an extension?
I believe this did have an extension before, but we only granted a 1 year extension. So yes, it has been given an extension before.
Okay, thank you.
They need to do the treatments.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Michael,
Questions, thank you.
Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
So I have, no additional questions.
I'd like to make a comment, if that's okay. I'd like to make a comment, if that's okay.
Sure.
If we've extended them once already for a year, we know that this is an ongoing issue that's really hard to get a handle on. I think we should give them a 2-year extension. It's a little bit longer time, but it's not to the full extent of the 3 years, rather than go year by year and have it keep coming up every year.
And that's fine too, because Mr. Lenahan does present their annual program in terms of what they are going to do every year. He's been doing that every year since they've started. And I expect that we'll have that again next year as well. So it's fine if the commission wants to go with a 2-year extension.
Okay,
Carol, make a motion.
please make your motion.
Okay, I move that we extend the
Order of conditions.
order of conditions for 2 years with the stipulation that we do receive annual updates on whatever that they provide. What is it called, Dave?
Whatever their treatment protocol is going to be for that year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave said.
Second.
That's the motion. I heard a second. All in favor, Kwame?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Denise,
Yes,
Carol,
yes.
Michael, Sandy, 2-year extension with the condition that we get an annual report prior to the application.
Second, third.
Didn't we just vote?
Yeah, just voted.
Wait, yeah.
We're done.
We're done.
Okay, enforcement orders.
All right, thank the
Next one, please.
commission. I was here out of, Dave said I should come out of courtesy, so I was here, but I didn't want to bother you. You're pretty busy tonight, so thank you very much.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enforcement orders?
Did we lose our chairperson?
He's getting up and walking around.
I closed the blinds and it got awful dark. I turned on the light and it's still dark.
We can see the giraffe.
You can see the giraffe. I closed the blinds. The backyard is over 100 degrees and it gets a little warm in here with that sun coming in. Okay. I guess we're up to enforcement orders.
Yeah, so the first one is Jessamine Kennedy at 71 Onset Ave. And this is an issue that I had mentioned to the commission at the last meeting, where there was some alteration of the 30-foot no activity zone on this site, and also the construction of a fire pit within that disturbed area. I did contact the property owner, and she is here online to discuss this with the commission. So she did state that she wasn't aware that that was not to be altered, and has agreed to restore the disturbed area. And so I'll let her speak to it since she's here online.
Hi.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Jessamine. It was so nice to meet you all. This was,
that.
This has been a very educational few hours.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Hi. So I first want to state that I am so sorry that we stumbled here. We weren't aware of this 30-foot buffer zone of what we were and we're not allowed to do, or more importantly, that we were to ask permission from the commission. So I apologize for that. We bought the property a year ago, and we knew about not using, commercial fertilizers and pesticides. We've been very careful about that sort of thing. But I myself have a big interest in conservation and the problem of invasive species in this, in this country, because of my educational background and so forth. So what happened was, when we moved in, I noticed there was a lot of junk and trash in what I now know is that 30-foot barrier, including some items that were left by the builder / previous tenant. So I kind of assumed that it was my responsibility as steward of this land to take care of these matters. So I've removed a lot of trash, and there was such a thick thicket of bittersweet and multiflora rose that I couldn't get to all the garbage. So we removed that brush, which is the area in question that Mr. Pachet has brought to my attention, and have removed as much garbage as I can. I need to remove more. There's a ton of garbage in the water. It's pretty awful. So we didn't know about the 30 feet. So yes, my brother is a stonemason and he built a fire pit for me. So we definitely know now that we are in error there. So now that I know whether I'm supposed to ask for permission, I don't know if I can belatedly ask for permission, because I have a list here of all of the natural plants that I've been planning on putting in there, because I have contacts with the Wildlands Trust board member, Marilyn Atterbury, who's a curator of their native plant gardens. And I'm also in contact with John DeLellis from the Heritage Museum about what sorts of plants would, work best in the habitat here. And been, learning about where I can get these things, these items in this area. So I've been very excited about this project. I just feel bad that I left you all out of it. So I would like to make it right, because we're very interested in continuing to clean the garbage up. And if we have permission to continue to get rid of the bittersweet and the multiflora rose and, put in like elderberry, blueberry, sweet ferns, pepper bush, winterberry, buttonbush, all of those kinds of things to help bring some diversity back. We also noticed that there's a problem with Phragmites in the water. I need a pair of waders to deal with that, but I also know that I would definitely need permission to go any further. So I hope you'll accept my apology. And I've been very excited to work with you going forward in the best way to do this that makes the most sense. Thanks.
Dave, comment?
I think some of the things that she's described is the right way to go with this. It would require submitting formally an application like some of the ones we've formally heard tonight in order to get that formal approval. So there would be a process to ultimately accomplish what you want to do, but it is something that can be permitted. So we can kind of go over what's required and the process and whatnot for that. So the fire pit, if it hasn't been removed already, needs to come out of there. Unfortunately, it can't stay there. So,
as to that, can I make a comment? It's cemented and very heavy. It's probably going to take me a little time to remove that because I can't do it myself, and I have no idea how it's good. My brother makes things to last, so I'm going to need some advice, help, or just consideration on that because it's going to take some time.
Yeah, we're not saying you have to take it out in the next 2 days, but it's some, you know, you have to figure out how that's gonna be
You will,
removed, because it would not have
absolutely.
been permitted to be allowed there, had you come and requested it to be there, so. It can
Okay.
be, it can be within the existing yard, that's fine, it just can't be where you put it.
So you mean the edge of the fire pit needs to be out of that 30-foot buffer, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Okay, I understand.
yeah.
It's gonna take some work. We'll get it done.
So questions on the board, because I think our rule, what we're looking at now is ratification of the enforcement order and a request for an an RDA for clearing and replanting the area.
Mhm.
And then we can talk about fines when we have the RDA. There will be a fine. $300 for clearing without permission, because it would not have been, well, I think 300, 200, I don't know. I'm too tired to think about it right now. But it's something that can be discussed when you come back with your RDA for your planting plan.
Okay.
Questions from the board? Kwame,
No questions. I agree with David's assessment.
Elisa,
No questions.
Denise,
No questions.
Carol,
No questions.
Michael,
No questions, thank you.
Nicole.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, I think that we just ratified, I take a motion to ratify the enforcement order.
I move that we ratify the enforcement order.
And requested RDA.
Yep, I
And
have that motion.
Second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, Kwame?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Denise, Carol,
Yes.
Mike, Sandy. Okay,
In just a minute, I'll be in,
Thank
we
you.
can be in touch to kind of go over what
Okay,
needs
good.
to happen. or
Definitely
to-
need some guidance.
Yeah, no, that's fine, we can do that.
I
Okay,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
hanging in there.
It's been
Oh.
educational.
All right, thank you.
Next enforcement order, please.
The next site is on Station Street. Robert McDuffie. I had spoken to him about the situation. We met down there on the site, and he had stated that he was going to be having his engineer get involved with this, and that he may not be able to be at the meeting tonight, but he is working with JC Engineering to get this matter resolved. And this did involve basically the placement of fill within the buffer zone to the wetland, certainly within areas that it should not have been placed. So there's a lot of material that's going to have to be moved out of this particular site. This is a site that we had previously, excuse me, we had previously approved the construction of a house on this lot, but that order of conditions has expired and is no longer valid, but the site had been being used sort of as an area to stockpile materials and whatnot, and somebody got a little out of control, pushing material in places that it shouldn't have gone. So that's essentially the nature of the violation, and it is going to require some restoration. So Mr. McDuffie stated that he would likely be at the next meeting to discuss this with the engineer.
So can we
All right.
move this? Can we continue this enforcement hearing?
No, we need to ratify the enforcement order.
Okay. I move that we ratify the enforcement order.
Yeah, second.
All in favor, Kwame,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Michael,
Yep.
Sandy, done. And we'll be hearing from Mr. McDuffie and his representative at the next meeting. That really completes the agenda. What I'd like to say to Ron Betsy, who's on the line, thank you very much for your time and effort on the Conservation Commissions, and congratulations on your election of a selectman.
Yes,
Unfortunately,
congratulations.
You leave
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ron.
Conservation Commission. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As he leaves, so leaves our vice chair. So I would like to, Mr. Bichette, on the 18th, can you put on the agenda discussion and vote on vice chair and clerk?
I will do that.
Is there any comments on this? You think about it, folks, we're gonna need a vice chair and we're gonna need a clerk. The clerk will not be doing the minutes, but there will be management of the minutes. Because I know. we have some
Sandy,
that have been
can I also,
assigned.
can I
Sorry?
also, can I also ask Sandy about, since we're gonna be now having a vacancy, about filling the vacancy as well?
Normally, we ask our associate to be at about 2 to 3 months, i.e. 4 to 6 minutes, 4 to 6. I got a conversation going in my background. Can you boys wait for a minute, please? Okay. We normally ask our associates to be for 2 or 3 months, which is 4 to 6 meetings before we move them up into associate. Is that what you're looking for? I think, I don't know how Nicole feels, but I don't think I'm comfortable recommending her moving up into a voting member until she puts a little bit more time into understanding our wetland bylaws and the function of the Conservation Commission. That's my opinion.
That's certainly up to the commission. We are gonna have Ron's vacancy. We are soon to be going to be having Elisa's vacancy, so we just need to think about the membership. So as
Yep.
soon as the commission feels comfortable, I would prefer to see she be
Yes.
moved up to a full
Now,
voting member.
Elisa's position will not be vacant until the 1st of July. So I expect in that time to have recommend Nicole to move up into a voting position by the 1st of July.
I have a
That's my
question.
opinion. Yes, Elisa.
It's sort of related to this, and that when you look for someone new, I'm asking the question because I don't know what your opinion is on it. We had an occasion where someone said, gee, they were really interested in working on conservation, but they go away for 3 months every winter. And I sort of think that's not a person to recommend to come before the board to become a member.
I agree.
And I know somebody who's very interested in conservation who goes away for about 2 months.
And I mean, even that, I think it's probably the same person. But I think that going away for 2 months, you just don't have the background, and you're always going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball, if you will.
When these people are going away for a couple of months, are they available to attend meetings by Zoom, or would they not entertain such?
It
I don't
appeared
know.
not. It appeared not when he was talking about it.
I'm not
Okay.
talking about that individual who's been in front of us on another project tonight. There's somebody else that has come to me looking for an interest as conservation.
I
So it's
still
not the
feel
person-
even 2 months away in the wintertime or anytime, because people do get sick, things come up, they can't be at a meeting, whatever. And
Have to visit the site, but go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
and visit the site. You're right, Michael, absolutely.
And just have the background, if we get continued meetings and things, they'd have to be watching, or at least participating in
Yep.
the meeting in some form to be able to vote on things.
That's
And
what
I
mean.
don't think you can get somebody anymore who can say, I will be here for every one of our meetings.
That's right.
And I don't, I don't know.
Mr. Bessie has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Selectman Bessie, I'm sorry.
Selectman Bessie, have you been sworn in, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I have been sworn in and it's official.
Okay, fine.
All right. Nice.
But I just wanted to, sit through the meeting and kind of listen, because it's something I thoroughly enjoy. And I probably continue to poke my head in periodically just to, hear about what's going on in town. But I just wanted to take 2 minutes just to thank everyone for the time that I was able to spend with you on the commission. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I appreciate the diligence that each and every one of you takes in taking time to go and visit the projects, talk about the projects, and really do a fantastic service here in town. I look forward to continuing to watch what goes on with the commission and continue to be involved in any way that I can in whatever I would be allowed to. But I want to thank everyone for the opportunity that was given to me almost 2 years ago to join this commission. I've learned a lot about conservation, and I'll continue to learn because even though I won't be serving directly on this commission, I still have a duty in town to make sure that anything that isn't being done correctly is still reported. And I look forward to seeing the great works that you guys continue to do. And I will always be available for questions that I can't answer, that I'm allowed to answer. I'm still learning all of those things. It'll take me a while to figure out what I can and can't do. But I'm excited to continue working in a larger capacity here in town and continuing to move Wareham forward to the great town that I know we can be. So thank you for the last almost 2 years, and I look forward to continuing with this town.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and I can speak for the board. Appreciate your time, and we look forward to your challenging events coming up. Okay, regarding somebody, I would rather see an application come in and we can discuss at that point the impact on being a member for conservation with time away. I don't want to make a blanket saying, hey, nobody who would be gone more than 2 weeks at a time, or 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, or 6. I'd rather talk about each applicant as they come before us as to what the impact it would be on conservation.
I agree.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Because who's to say? Maybe we can continue in Zoom even though we may not want to. I don't know.
Or
We'll wait
hybrid.
for the governor make a decision coming up.
They're talking about hybrid also.
Unfortunately, we don't have the staff to do a hybrid. We need 3 people from WCTV to manage a hybrid meeting.
I thought some of the committees were doing that. They're not?
Yeah, you tell me how many WCTV people are there for each one of them.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, that you need 3 people to manage a hybrid meeting. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless something can come up with it that streamlines that.
Yeah. I have another topic question.
Yeah.
I know planning board is looking for a response on Bay Point.
Bay Point.
Yes, I'm taking care of that.
Oh, thank you.
I have not heard anything about Bay Point and conservation.
Well, essentially, they just need a letter from us saying that conservation doesn't have any involvement or authority on the site because it's not within our jurisdiction. That's all they're looking for.
So don't we vote on 1 and a 6 determination? Or have we already done that?
We have not done that. I'm not sure that that's what they're necessarily asking for. If they submitted a request for determination, then that would be our vote. But if they're not asking for that, they just want a letter, then that's a little bit different.
So you as the agent can say there's no wetlands involved.
Yes, in this case, we've kind of already said that in previous phases of this project. You know, when this started years ago, we essentially said that at that time. But since this is a new phase, they need a new letter basically reiterating that. I don't think it's a big deal. It's something that I can handle if the commission is okay with that.
Okay.
Fine.
Yes.
Stay awake, Elisa. I don't have a problem with that. Thank you, Mr. Pichette.
For the record, folks, every single minute from 2020 to 2021 have been posted on the town website, and Mr. Pichette sent a notice to Nora Biggie that has that been done, and she said thank you. So we're done with that. Yay.
I'm glad we made her happy.
So we will be working on, I don't have my master with me, so I'm not going to ask anybody to do the minutes from tonight, but I will be addressing that shortly. So we should be assigning at the end of the meeting, who's going to do the minutes going forward until we can get into FY '23. Anything else?
Whoever does
just-
do the minutes for this meeting, I have quite a few notes that I took in case someone needs them.
Then you got, okay, you got it. Still
Go
go
for it,
Nicole.
Nicole.
I was trying to catch up because it's really difficult to start from the beginning. So if I have notes going forward, it'll cut my time in half, I think.
And you still owe us
There
one
you go.
query, correct?
Yes, that one's almost finished.
Okay, so I will
Nice.
put a note. Nicole minutes.
I also, Sandy, if I could, just want to say that I will not be in tomorrow. So as far as for signing documents, that will be something that will have to be done on Monday. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Oh, please say the magic words.
I move to adjourn.
Adjourn the hearing.
Oh, we are adjourned at 6:30. Sorry, I'm gonna say 6:36, but sorry, 9:36.
Oh, that West Coast,
Yeah,
All
Kyle.
in favor?
must be
Yes.
rough out there on the West Coast, Sandy.
Yeah,
right?
really.
Yeah.
Yes.
100-degree backyard, 6:36 at night. Oh, gosh.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a long meeting and I appreciate your support during it.
Good job.
Thank
Nice
you.
work.